As the presence of Mahiro Tadai slowly enters this quiet space, nothing changes suddenly. There is no loud arrival, no sharp emotional wave, no dramatic movement pulling your attention. Instead, her energy appears the way dawn appears on a silent morning, so gentle that at first, you're not even sure when it truly began. And if right now, as you read these words, you feel even the slightest ease in your chest, you can write one simple sentence in the comments. I feel a little calmer. Even the smallest awareness matters. Mahiro never feels like someone who demands attention. She doesn't rush into your emotional space. She doesn't compete with the noise of the world. Her presence feels like it was always meant to arrive quietly without pressure. In a world that constantly asks you to be faster, stronger, louder, and more visible, this quiet way of existing feels rare. If you feel tired of constantly needing to perform in your own life, you can write, I'm tired of performing below. You don't have to carry that weight alone here. There is a gentle emotional patience in Mahiro's energy. She doesn't push happiness and she doesn't deny sadness. She allows both to coexist naturally without judgment. And that balance feels deeply human, because in real life, people are not only light, and they are not only dark. They are combinations of both. If your heart feels mixed right now, hope and fatigue, calm and worry, you can write, I feel mixed. You are not broken for feeling more than one thing at once. Mahiro Tadai feels like someone who understands silence, not as emptiness but as a language. A soft emotional language that does not need words to communicate safety. Her silence does not feel awkward. Feels spacious. It feels like room to breathe. And if you are someone who often feels more understood in quiet moments than in loud conversations, you can write silence understands me. Many people share that truth but rarely say it out loud. As time continues beside Mahiro's presence, something very subtle begins to happen inside the body. The breath becomes slower. The jaw loosens just a little. The shoulders drop without effort. This is not something you force. It happens naturally when the nervous system feels safe. If you feel tension leaving your body right now, even just a little, you can write, I feel my body soften. That awareness is already a form of healing. Mahiro's calm is not fragile. It is steady, quietly strong. It does not rely on validation. It does not depend on approval. It feels built from the inside, not borrowed from the world. And in a culture that constantly teaches people to look outside themselves for worth, this inner steadiness becomes incredibly powerful. If you are trying to build that kind of inner peace in your own life, you can write, I'm building my own calm. That intention alone already holds strength. Her presence teaches us that not all strength needs to be loud. Some strength stays quiet. Some strength does not announce itself. Some strength simply stays when life becomes heavy. If you are someone who has learned to survive in silence, to endure quietly, to keep going without applause, you can write, I carry quiet strength. You deserve to be seen too. Mahiro Tadai feels like someone you could sit beside on a rainy afternoon without needing to talk. Just listening to the sound of water. Just sharing space. Just being human together without explanations. And sometimes that kind of silent companionship heals deeper than any advice ever could. If you miss that kind of quiet connection in your life, you can write, I miss quiet connection. You are not alone in longing for it. Her energy also teaches us about rest. Not the kind of rest that feels rushed or guilty, but real rest. Rest without apology. Rest without justification. So many people today feel guilty when they stop, as if they must always earn the right to breathe. If you often feel guilty for resting, you can write, I struggle to rest. It is more common than people admit. Mahiro gently reminds us that rest is not laziness. Rest is not weakness. Rest is how the soul repairs the parts that the world cannot see. And if you give yourself permission to rest right now, even for a few quiet moments, you are not falling behind. You are returning to yourself. If you accept that permission, you can write, I give myself permission to rest. As the quiet continues, thoughts often begin to soften. They don't disappear. They simply become less sharp, less demanding, less overwhelming. This is what safety feels like in the mind. If your thoughts feel even slightly quieter now than before you started reading, you can write, my mind is quieter. Small changes matter more than you think. Mahiro's presence does not pretend that pain does not exist. It does not deny sadness. Instead, it teaches us a gentler way to hold pain, not by fighting it, not by suppressing it, but by allowing it to exist without judging ourselves for carrying it. If you are learning to sit with your pain instead of running from it, you can write, "I'm learning to sit with my pain." That is real courage. There is a quiet kind of bravery in choosing gentleness in a world that teaches hardness, in staying soft despite being hurt before, in choosing kindness after experiencing cruelty. Mahiro carries that bravery without showing it off. And if you relate to that choice, if you are someone who keeps choosing softness even after being wounded, you can write, "I still choose gentleness." That is not weakness, it is strength at its purest form. Her emotional steadiness also reminds us that healing does not need to be rushed. You do not need to fix yourself quickly. You do not need to become better overnight. You are allowed to heal slowly, at your pace, without comparison, without pressure. If you have been feeling rushed to heal before your heart is ready, you can write, "I will heal at my pace." That promise is deeply protective. Mahiro Tadai feels like someone who would understand your tiredness without making you explain it, who would sit beside your exhaustion without trying to solve it, who would simply allow you to be tired without labeling you as weak. If you feel emotionally tired right now, you can write, "I'm tired." You don't need to decorate the truth here. There is something deeply comforting about not being required to be okay, about being allowed to be exactly as you are in the moment. Sad, tired, confused, calm, hopeful, empty, whatever exists. Mahiro's presence feels like that kind of permission. And permission to be real is one of the rarest emotional gifts. If you feel grateful to be allowed to be real right now, you can write, "Thank you for this space." Mahiro also reminds us that sensitivity is not weakness. Sensitivity means you notice subtle shifts. You feel deeply. You respond with care. In a world that rewards hardness, sensitivity often feels like a burden, but it is actually a quiet form of intelligence. If you are a sensitive person, you can write, "I am sensitive." You don't need to hide it here. Sometimes the world teaches us to disconnect from ourselves in order to survive, to ignore feelings, to suppress needs, to silence our own voices. Mahiro's quiet presence does the opposite. It gently reconnects us to what we feel without forcing us to confront it all at once. If you feel like you've been disconnected from yourself for a long time, you can write, "I feel disconnected." Naming it is the first step toward returning. Her calm teaches us that it is okay to move slowly, that it is okay not to keep up with everyone else, that your pace does not need to match the noise of the world. And if you are learning to honor your own rhythm instead of racing against others, you can write, "My pace is enough." As this space remains quiet, notice how your breathing moves. In and out. Without effort. Without control. Just happening. These small moments of awareness are doorways back to the present. Back to the body. Back to yourself. If you are breathing gently with these words right now, you can write, "I'm breathing slowly." Mahiro Tadai feels like a reminder that calm is not something you must chase. Sometimes it is something you simply allow. And allowing is often the bravest act. Especially for those who have always felt the need to be strong. If you are practicing allowing instead of forcing, you can write, "I'm learning to allow." If at any moment during this story you felt your body soften, your thoughts slow, or your emotions feel a little safer, take a quiet second to recognize it. That recognition is not small. It is real. It is healing. You do not need to transform tonight. You do not need to solve your life tonight. You do not need to become a better version of yourself tonight. You only need to be here. Breathing, existing, feeling, and that is already enough. If you feel comfortable, I invite you gently to leave one honest sentence in the comments. Not the version of yourself that you show the world, just the truth of how you feel in this exact moment. We are here together, in quiet, in gentleness, in calm connection.